I'm an idiot. Hello, and welcome to the G Arcade Post-Mortem of the PC Gaming show press conference of E3 2017. My name's Carl from the G Arcade forums, and with me are Kix, say hello,
Yo.
and Super Dragon 64, say hi.
Hi.
So, the PC Gaming show is kind of like a unique conference at E3. It's a broad church, and they try to include lots of different games from lots of different developers and shine a spotlight on kind of every corner of PC gaming. And I think that kind of sets it apart from the other conferences, which tend to focus on just one publisher or one developer. Do we think that the PC Gaming Show this year was an effective overview of the PC gaming as kind of a platform to come? Let's start with you, Kix.
Well, I thought it worked pretty well for what it was, but with a PC gaming show, the two actors you don't have because they do their own thing, and they're arguably two of the biggest in PC gaming are Valve and Blizzard, so apart from their absence, I thought it was pretty good. You had a good mix of developers. Microsoft Studios came back, they're making their games again. It's been a long time, and it's nice to see them back again in the PC space.
Yeah, there is a large Valve and Blizzard shaped hole, and classically, when I first got into PC gaming, a lot of the games I played were Valve games, and now I play a lot of Overwatch, big Blizzard game. So, for me, some of the bigger franchises, were kind of misses for me, I guess, because naturally I would be drawn more towards like BlizzCon, say. But I thought there was still a lot of interesting stuff on offer. One of the things about the show that I didn't like was perhaps like how kind of brutally long it was, and how a lot of the kind of trailers ended up being quite brief. I know you get that with like every conference to an extent, but it seems like they didn't necessarily have a lot of time to spend on each individual thing because they had so much to get through. So from that perspective, I'm not sure that it was one of the conferences that I kind of enjoyed most or like found the most fun, but I think there's like some interesting stuff there to talk about. What did you like or dislike about the conference, Dragon?
I like that the host Day 9, is that Day 9?
Yeah,
that's right.
Sean Platt.
He was pretty much having a conversation with nearly everyone who came on stage, so that set it apart from other conferences like the Microsoft and Sony ones. It felt that he was really interested in the game himself, but also in having those developers tell us more about the games. And the fact that there's no format holder trying to sell buzzwords and PR speak meant that it really was just about the games. So you had developers talking about their games because they like their games, they like making it, and they want to share it with everyone, not because this publisher has put them onto the stage to help sell units. I know those kind of sound similar, but it felt more genuine and therefore interesting to me. I agree there was a lot to go through, and it could drag on, but it pretty much kept my attention for those reasons.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with you about the fact that, Day 9 has been a gamer all his life. He played a lot of Brood War throughout the years, and he made lots of videos, and it's the thing that really sort of made him internet famous, as it were, famous to the point he now hosts something like a PC conference at E3. That's pretty insane. But because you can tell he genuinely cared about the games that were being shown, and he wanted to know more, it felt a lot more personal when he was sat speaking to the developers. There was a couple of developers that did just sound like they were just coming out doing their marketing spiel, but a lot of the time it did sound like they were just genuinely interested in showing off their game and everything, which I love because it makes it a lot more personal than Mr. EA walking out talking about FIFA.
I'd agree with that completely. I mean, Day 9 was one of the best things about the conference for me. And I think you can see a similar effect in the Nintendo Treehouse as well, having more kind of gamer or games oriented kind of personalities hosting the event and kind of guiding you through it and showing that kind of genuine enthusiasm rather than having someone from the kind of business infrastructure of a company come out and like give a conference talk, which can be a little dry, let's be honest, for an audience of gamers that are watching.
I guess one thing for me that, I mean, we've already touched a little bit on how long it was, but I think a lot of the time it was longer because they wanted to bring out every single developer to talk about it a little bit. So sometimes the trailers were quite short. I mean, there was bits where they went up to It's Me Firefox, or whatever her name was, and like she'd show off a world premiere trailer or something, but then the trailer wouldn't really show you much anyway. But I mean, I guess that's the nature of E3. They're not always going to show off everything. And what they did show, I thought was quite good.
You made a good point there about likening it to Nintendo's Treehouse. They didn't really make that connection, but I do agree with it, and it is what sets Nintendo's presentation apart from the others, and it is mirrored in the PC conference, and yeah, that's how the PC conference sets itself apart from the Microsoft and Sony ones. You have every developer who's got a trailer there on stage talking about their games. I think nearly all of them. I can't remember if Shadowverse had anyone talking about that, but that's like 1 out of 20 games. So yeah, that really helps in that you get a lot more information and not just a trailer saying this game will come out in 2 years if you're lucky.
I was going to mention Shadowverse at some point because I actually thought that had one of the worst trailers for any game I've ever seen. I thought that trailer was absolute nonsense, but I don't know if you guys want to go on this little tangent kind of adventure with me now, but I mean, did you guys think that about the Shadowverse trailer? It didn't really communicate anything about the game. It didn't really have a coherent narrative as a trailer, or like, yeah. I mean, what do you guys think of it?
Okay, I mean, the Shadowverse trailer, rather than being a trailer for the game, it was more showing off what the cards are going to be based on, I guess. So everything in the trailer is probably going to be a card, and you've got the animations and everything, because Shadowverse is obviously a card game. The fact they got Kriparian, who's like quite a big YouTuber that got quite big because of Hearthstone, who also plays Shadowverse, to sort of announce it was kind of cool, I guess. It's good for him because I know he genuinely does like the game. I mean, yeah, it was a bit of a disappointing trailer because, I mean, I've never played Shadowverse. I possibly may look at playing it a little bit after watching what I did at E3. But, like, it's going to be a card game, so I mean, there's not too much they can show off in the trailers. But then I guess if you look at Blizzard again, and how they handle the trailers for their Hearthstone expansions, I wonder if they were trying to somewhat maybe not copy, but do their own version of that, but I don't think it came across as well. Because usually the Hearthstone trailers have their own little story to them, and that was somewhat missing.
Yeah, I think like the Blizzard cinematics try to like they have like a hook that try to like draw you into like be it like the Hearthstone expansion or the new Heroes of the Storm map or character or whatever. Whereas I thought this was like very like disconnected, and apart from that, I think kind of when you're releasing a game that's like quite similar to another game, that's fine. You're competing with Hearthstone. That's okay. It's okay to have two games competing with each other. But maybe if you're putting it out in front of like a general audience at somewhere like E3, you want to have a little bit more about like what makes your game, a good value proposition for someone that's going to invest time in it or that would consider investing time in it. From that perspective, that's probably what I thought was maybe the worst trailer of the show. There were some really good trailers as well, but while we're having our little critique at the start, I wanted to bring that up. because I didn't think it was great. I thought they could have done a better job with that.
As the trailer for the game, I agree in that it doesn't show anything about the game. I just like the trailer on its own because I kind of missed that bit where you saw the card game. I just saw that trailer bit and thought this looks interesting. So I wanted to look it up, and I looked it up and found that it was a card game and thought, yeah, I was expecting something different after that little trailer. So yeah, as a game trailer, definitely bad. As a trailer on its own, it's entertaining. I agree that trying to do that Blizzard thing. They didn't really do it as well as Blizzard anyway.
Funnily enough, I think that actually, like the way they announced the expansion, in a way, almost transitions quite well into something else I want to talk about, which is Killing Floor 2. Because with Killing Floor 2, they have this like wild and wacky carnival land, which was present in Killing Floor 1 as well. And it was their way of it. It's not so much an expansion, more an event, and they did do timed events in Killing Floor 1 as well, so it's nice to see them return. But it's sort of a weird contrast of how Shadowverse showed off what I imagine is going to be all the cards, or at least a lot of the cards in their art. But then in a similar fashion, Killing Floor 2 showed it more as gameplay, rather than just like a cinematic trailer. They had like the cinematic trailer elements, but sort of put it in with the gameplay itself, which is quite cool.
Yeah, definitely. That was a great trailer because not only could you see all of the like visual and artistic elements of what they were offering with their special summer event, you could also get a feeling for like how it played because it was all presented in engine, like you were saying, and that kind of got me a little bit interested in Killing Floor again, having kind of drifted away from it a little bit with Killing Floor 2. Like I played some Killing Floor 1 and I thought it was like quite good. I didn't play as much of it as I did Left 4 Dead, but I know they're kind of slightly different games, but kind of Left 4 Dead drew my attention away from it, I think, at the time. And I kind of didn't return to the franchise, but if they're going to be doing like kind of events like that, I think that's the kind of thing that might get me interested in the franchise again. So I thought that was actually one of the more effective trailers that they showed.
The trailer, yeah, it looked good, and the support from Tripwire for Killing Floor has been fantastic. To see that the developers are still adding to it at this stage is great. I played a bit of Killing Floor 1, I played a bit of Killing Floor 2, and this looks like a good way to get back into 2. So I'm looking forward to it.
It also adds a lot more character to the game, which Killing Floor 1 had in buckets, but Killing Floor 2 until now, it's been good, and I do enjoy playing it. I was actually playing it again the other day for the first time in a while, and it's just missing some of that, I hate to use the word, but charm that Killing Floor 1 had. But if they are going to add the seasonal events again, like you had the carnival, there was obviously the winter one where you went to like Santa's workshop and stuff like that. Little things like that really help sort of expand the game and just make it a lot more fun. And of course, for people who like hats, I think they said there's something like over 70 different costume elements you can get in this carnival event as well, and it's going to go on all month. And there's a free weekend from what I understand, so anyone who may be interested in playing it can at least download it and go give it a try.
Hopefully you'll be able to keep the hats that you get in the free weekend.
Well, you probably will do, because the way free weekends work on Steam is you just download the game and you technically own it for 2 weeks. Well, not 2 weeks, 2 days or 3 days. And then it doesn't go anywhere. You just reinstall it once you're done, or once you buy it. Well, you don't even need to reinstall it if you don't delete it.
That's good, because fashion simulators kind of within games definitely work on me.
Yeah.
Fashion Souls in Dark Souls, hats TF2, costumes in Overwatch.
Yeah, skins in Overwatch, Heroes of the Storm. Skins are where it's at, baby. And not forgetting the Killing Floor 1 skins of good old Harold Lott from Harry Enfield. Wait, was it Harold Lott? I can't remember his name. The loads of money guy. Loads of money.
I'm gonna ask you both pretty soon about what your like favorite games of the conference were, and what your what you're most excited about that was showcased in the show. But before I go on to that, I just want to ask you, we had a lengthy presentation in the middle from Intel about all the wonderful work they're doing with software consulting and new hardware coming out. Do you guys like Intel as a company more, having seen that? And what are your thoughts on fantastic uh, quote software guy that came out to talk to us for what felt like 4 hours?
What I'll say is obviously I work in IT for a living, right?
Mm,
I like hearing about PC hardware, but not in that circumstance. Like,
mm,
I would happily sit there and hear all about their new i9, which uses 9 cores, I think, and like how good it's going to be, right? I'm perfectly fine hearing about that, but not in the middle of a gaming conference. I'd rather hear about that at a hardware conference, which is what they probably have anyway. Like, obviously, a better processor is going to do a hell of a lot for games and everything else, because games will run better. But you obviously need the GPU as well, and processors aren't exactly the cheapest things, especially the new ones. So it's going to be a long time before I can probably afford one anyway, and I'm still happy with my i5. I guess that's 4 cores, so probably won't be 9 cores. I'm not sure how many cores they said it was, but yeah, I mean the Intel guy, he had the charisma of like a wet potato, I guess, because I don't think that's his normal thing, and he's speaking to an audience that probably aren't too interested in what he's saying, because it's basically just their way of going, "Hey, folks, buy an i9 for your gaming needs because we're sponsoring this." So I can't say I was too impressed with him, but still, I mean, he was pretty cool, I guess.
Just to confirm, the i9 Extreme Edition is pegged to have 18 cores hyper-threaded.
Wow, okay, that's even better than I thought.
I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, from a hardware enthusiast perspective, that's like, okay, yeah, great. That's a cool processor. It's kind of like, it strikes me as being overkill. I mean, I don't think games, certainly within the next kind of 5 years, are gonna use all of those cores. But I mean, it was cool, some of the stuff he was announcing. But yeah, I agree. It felt really out of place to me. And the guy, no disrespect to him, because I'm sure he's not, I'm sure he doesn't do a great deal of public speaking in his job. He's a software guy, and he's come out to try and tell us about this. I'm not even mocking the fella himself, but I don't think it was I don't think it was a terribly effective presentation for that audience. Maybe he's more used to talking to a technical audience in a kind
Yeah,
of more technical way.
most certainly. He's probably one of the best presenters in Intel, if anything. Like, for a business conference or something, like, he would probably be perfect,
Mm.
but not a gaming conference.
Yeah, he definitely didn't need to be there, and it really interrupted the flow because we had a great about hour or so where we saw different games and the developers. Then it really slowed down for 10 years, and yeah, and at least we had the rest of the show after that. But yeah, like you guys said, he had interesting things to say. He could do it well, but it wasn't the time or place for it. We were there for games, and this is one of the things that PC conference has over the Microsoft and Sony ones and Nintendo ones. You know that there's no need to advertise hardware. It's just for the games.
Mm. Cool. So now, we've done a bit of chatting about the format of the conference itself, and kind of what went down with Day 9 and Intel Guy. And I think we've all prepared a couple of games each that we think were cool and that we wanted to just chat about a little more. Uh, so I guess we'll just start off with you, Kicks. What were your favorite couple of games from the conference? What are you really excited about? Why should we be excited about it as well?
Well, I guess this is going to be kind of weird, but when I was growing up, there was two major games that shaped the way I play games today and what I play, and one of them was Total Annihilation, and the other one was Age of Empires. So I'm not gonna lie, but when they came out with the Microsoft Studios guy came out, I had a feeling I knew what was gonna happen, but I was like, no, they probably won't do it. I mean, they've remastered AoE2 and everything, which is great, but they finally announced the Age of Empires 1 remaster, and then I got let down by the fact it's Windows 10 only, and I haven't upgraded yet. So I guess that's on me, but I think it looks
There's a way
good.
to do that for free if you, and it's legitimate.
But yeah, still, when the trailer started with the priest going, "Oh, no, no," I'm not gonna lie, I screamed with joy because I knew exactly what it was gonna be. And I mean, Age of Empires 1 is great. It's got its janky things, but they said they're going to try and fix as many of those as possible. And yeah, it's going to be fun to play online with people, so I can't complain.
Do you foresee this kind of taking off in the PC gaming thread on G Arcade? Do you think we'll get together?
I don't know. I mean, possibly, but the thing is, it is an old RTS game. It is very janky. RTSs isn't. I mean, I'm a huge fan of RTS games and always have been, but RTS games are not exactly the most popular popular. Wouldn't say franchise, but style of game. Yeah, genre is the best way of putting it, because they're usually not very forgiving. I mean, they're quite hard to play most of the time, but I mean, Age of Empires has always been the sort of game that I've never taken too seriously. I mean, Age of Empires 2 had lots of tournaments and everything, but I never really watched them. But they're just fun to mess around in, and the units there's a really wide diversity of units, especially because the amount of different civilizations you get to play as. And I mean, there's not really too much I can complain about. It's going to be fun. I'll enjoy it, and if no one else does, then I'm not too worried, as long as I get to enjoy it again. And it's been near impossible to play it on modern PCs, like the original Age of Empires now. And I still have my CD-ROM of it, so it'll be nice to be able to play it again.
Great, good stuff. I'm really glad you're excited about that, and yeah, you said it might sound weird, but I don't think it's weird at all. I think I'd be pretty excited about a Deus Ex remaster, which was the game that got me into PC gaming. I know that there's a New Vision. It's not quite the same, so yeah, I can definitely understand where you're coming from. Oh, sorry, you go.
And if we got a remaster or something of Red Alert or Descent, I'd feel the same way. I played those endlessly when I was younger, and yeah, they were the first games I played on PC, and pretty much as soon as I got back into it, I tried to get them back, and I like that I still have them on GOG and Origin to play when I want.
The other game, I mean, my other standout game, purely because when they brought out Cliffy B on the stage, I had no idea what he was going to talk about. Cliff Bleszinski has made some good games, and some games that I don't get on with, but I understand they're good. Like, if I remember correctly, he made the original Gears of War, which, while I'm not the biggest fan, I can understand why so many people do love it. And it was his new arena shooter, which, embarrassingly, I've actually forgotten the name of, but it did look very fun. It looked fast, the movement looked great, the weapons looked great as well.
Are you talking about... Was it Echo Arena?
I think so.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah. So Echo
I
Arena.
think that was Lawbreakers.
Is it Lawbreakers?
Oh, Lawbreakers, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Echo Arena was the VR thing.
The VR one, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got them mixed up.
So Lawbreakers, like, there's lots of different modes from what we understand. It looks like it's going to have that arena shooter multiplayer that I've been waiting to play for a long time. I mean, Quake 3 is still my favorite arena shooter. That's probably never going to change unless this really blows me away. I mean, I'm keeping my expectations low because I know that it does look good, but until I actually play it, I'm not going to be sure if it's going to be as good as I think it is. I mean, you've got the Unreal devs making a new Unreal, which I'm also looking forward to. And arena shooters are once again one of those other genres that are quite hard to get into. but they've always been one of my favourites. So I'm really interested to see what Cliffy B can do with Lawbreakers, and I'm interested to see how other people feel about it as well, because it looks fun.
So, as like a genre fan of fast-paced arena shooters, in the Unreal Tournament and Quake veins, did the trailer say and do the right things for you from like a gameplay perspective? Were you looking at it and thinking, yeah, this is fast enough? Yeah, there's enough weapon variety for me, that kind of thing. What makes this exciting for you, rather than something where you're like, another failed attempt to revive arena shooters?
Well, one thing that, or the two of the things that really excited me the most was the fact that the movement, I mean, it looks like there's tons of movement options. The whole thing of it being based around anti-gravity, pretty much. And the fact you can, like, grapple off of the floor and things like that. Like, the movement looks really fun. It looks really fluid as well. Like, one thing that I wouldn't really say lesser arena shooters, like some of that Unreal Tournament 3, which compared to 2K4 for me was a disappointment. Like, the movement in that felt really bulky, but when looking at the trailer for Lawbreakers, the movement looked fluid, fast. It looked like you can get places very quickly, and it relies a lot on your reflexes as well, because you're going to be constantly having to check from like a 360-degree angle of where the people could be coming from for you, because you just have so many movement options. And I mean, the weapons, they didn't, if I can remember correctly, they didn't show off too many weapons, but the ones they did show off look good. The one thing I did notice is it looks like, I guess it was for the sake of the trailer, but when they showed people like playing it, it looked like you die really fast. And while I do like that, I hope there is ways of getting like armor power-ups and things like that to sort of increase your survivability, because if you die too quickly, then it goes into the territory that something like COD goes into, where it feels like you're like I guess a glass cannon, which is fine, but on a game where you've got to worry about people coming at you from like an entire 360-degree angle from around you, like top, bottom, left, right, diagonally up, diagonally left, and whatever, being too much of a glass cannon is going to make it way too difficult. But as long as it's got the right, yeah, as long as it's got the right amount of time that you can react, and obviously the lower your skill level, the less people are going to absolutely destroy you, so because everyone will be on the same skill level at the beginning and whatnot. So I think that it does a lot of good things from the trailer, but until I actually get to play it, I'm not going to be able to judge it fully.
Well, you're lucky, and because I don't know if you remember, but there will be an open beta at the end of June on the 30th.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would be good if a few of us jumped into that, because it does look fun.
Yeah, depending on like the specs it needs and whatever, I'm definitely in principle up for giving that a go. It did look fun, I agree. So thank you for showing your two kind of games of the show with us, Kix and Dragon. I know you have I know you have more RPG tastes sometimes, so I'm interested to hear what your favorite games were.
Yep, I've always been a big fan of RPGs, and I wish I had more time to play them all. So two that stuck out to me, not traditional RPGs, but RPG, strategy, character, that kind of thing. So, BattleTech. It is a strategy game with mechs. I'm a big fan of strategy games. Like I said earlier, Red Alert was one of the first games I played. It's a real-time strategy game. Battle Mechs is a turn-based strategy game. It looks kind of like Fire Emblem, XCOM, that kind of thing, but with mechs. And for me, a strategy game, turn-based or real-time, will get my interest. Something with mechs will get my interest. This puts them together and it looks fantastic. You've got huge robots shooting missiles across fields and mountains, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it when it comes out. Because we haven't seen much, and it's one of the few games where the developers weren't on stage to actually elaborate on what we saw, but it does look great. So yeah,
So
yeah.
BattleTech was the one that had, I mean, to my eye, it seemed quite innovative. Although I haven't played every strategy game out there. The system where you would target and blast off specific pieces of armor from the mechs, and the mechs were like kind of functioning machines you had to break rather than just like HP pools. I think, is that right?
Yeah, and you have to. I mean, after the battles, you get the points for scavenging and things. So it's important not to completely destroy every mech if you want to make money. From what I understand, the idea of attacking different mech parts has been in quite a few games, but this is based, from what I understand, the tabletop game BattleTech as well. So it's taking a lot of the rules and whatnot from there.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like a really interesting system. To me, as maybe someone that's coming at it from slightly outside the genre, it was that part of it that really fascinated me. The idea of having to think about like actually how you're going to attack, not just where you'll attack from in like a strategy sense, but almost like the tactics. When you're one on one of like what bits of armor you'll blow off and what you'd prefer not to destroy so that you can keep it later. I thought that looked really cool. And what was your second game, Dragon?
My second game is from a series I've been interested in playing for a while. But once I heard that this was coming out, I kind of put the original games to the side and thought that I'd just dive in fresh with the sequel. And at the show this year, we saw Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, which is another strategy game. This time it's real time in the sense that you are on the front lines as a soldier. So you can command your army in single player through the campaign, or you can fight alongside other people online. And you've got RPG elements in developing your weapons and therefore your army. Where this sets itself apart from other fantasy games or medieval games in that not only are you on the front lines, but you can also there's also a focus on siege gameplay where you're attacking fortresses like castles and whatnot, instead of just fighting on open fields against other people. So that, yeah, I've been looking. I mean, there's been a lot of praise for the original games, and 2 sets itself apart with that siege gameplay and just building upon the original. And you also got outside of that, you've got like a diplomatic arm where you're bartering, you're speaking with NPCs. So it feels a lot more fleshed out. And I think anyone who's a fan of the Total War series but wanted to go deeper into it and not just manage a whole block of units could be quite interested in playing this. It does feel like it's been in development for a long time, but hopefully it will be out, if not this year, next year.
Yeah, Mount and Blade has been one of those series that I bought because I really wanted to play Mount and Blade Warband. So I got it in a Steam sale once, and I played a little bit, and I was just overwhelmed with the amount of stuff you could do. Like, the way the Mount and Blade series works, if it continues like this in the new one, I'm not too sure, but I imagine it will do. You start with nothing, and basically you have to build your way up, and then eventually you'll get strong enough that you can take on, like, king's armies and things like that. So it's a really interesting take on that kind of game because I can't really think of anything else that's really like it. It's almost like a Total War game, but you play in third person, and like everything you do changes the dynamic of everything. Like early on in Warband, to recruit more people, you'd have to go around villages and just recruit peasants. And then eventually you could train them up and like give them armor and cavalry or horses and things like that. So Mount and Blade has certainly got a good way to go, and the new trailer did look really good. So I'm quite excited for that as well.
Okay, thank you both very much for that. It sounds like a really deep and fascinating game. I had a couple of games that I wanted to just kind of bring up. Um, so I was kind of a bit surprised at what my choices for uh the kind of most interesting games of the show were, because I'm actually not really that into indie games. I don't tend to play very many of them. I tend to be more attracted to the kind of flashy AAA experiences. But actually, the trailers that I thought were maybe the most interesting uh, were things like Ooblets, which had a really fascinating kind of like, it seemed like a blend of gameplay mechanics and a really kind of cutesy art style that I thought was that I thought just looked really neat. So why don't we start with Ooblets? What do you guys think of Ooblets?
I think it looks very fun. It's got a really, really cute art style. Double Fine, who I believe are making it,
Yep.
a very good developer, so I can't really complain on that front, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I certainly can't wait for it to come out to give it a try.
I wasn't too impressed by it. It's not to say I don't like indie games, it's just, to me, I had a hard time kind of seeing myself playing it. It looks charming, but that's about all I can really say for it. I probably need to see more before I go into it, and yeah, I can definitely see why it sticks out to COG in terms of all the customization of the characters, but for me, yeah, I want to see kind of more of that combat, more of that exploration.
Yeah, the trailer was definitely like a touch light on gameplay details. So I mean, I'm gonna be, just trying to keep an eye on the game. I think probably there'll be more, because I think they had a playable demo on the show floor. So hopefully we'll see some footage of that kind of emerging on YouTube over the next kind of day or two. And yeah, I'll be keeping my eye on it, and hopefully it'll be good. The second game I kind of wrote down as looking kind of interesting was Tunic. Tunic was it looked quite Zelda-y, but the enemy fights seem somewhat. I know it's a cliche to say things are reminiscent of Dark Souls. It's like you're almost like saying nothing at all. But the kind of dodge mechanics and just having like huge enemies that you're kind of strafing around, kind of, it kind of gave me that vibe, and I just thought that looked interesting from a gameplay perspective, and actually what I've actually written down in front of me is could be good if it's really hard.
I agree, because to me, yeah, I definitely saw that. I also felt that it looked like the Zelda game. The animations were fantastic though. But yeah, what really stuck out was the combat and how quickly the character was dodging, and how it looked like there was definitely going to be a strong focus on combat. So it did look like this game wasn't just trying to emulate Zelda. And I mean, this is one of the things that I didn't like about Oceanhorn, which looks just like the Wind Waker. So that game really just tried to be Zelda, and that's it. It didn't try to make anything its own. It has really weak puzzles and combat, whereas Tunic looks like it's taken the grounding of that isometric Zelda game, um, put it in with some great animations, and decided to focus on the combat. And you can see there's a lot of potential there just from something so simple as rolling. But because the enemies don't, they look relentless, and so you do need to be alert. And even though there's a situation where there's just 3-on-1, even something as simple as that can be an engaging encounter. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think once again, in terms of like indie games, it had an incredible art style, and I'm really looking, like, even the music from the trailer sounded really nice. So it's another game that I'll definitely keep my eye on.
I think that Tunic was probably like my biggest surprise of the conference. I know that I talked about BattleTech and Mount and Blade 2, but I knew about them before the conference. Whereas Tunic is something I just heard about while I was watching that. So that's definitely my favorite new game of the show. And actually, sorry, and that was probably the best example as well of the developers talking about the game. So you had the developer who was explaining, who was talking a bit about the game, about how it had changed its name as well, and you could see that she was really passionate about the game itself and enjoyed working on it and being part of it. So it's that thing that really made it stick out. If the trailer didn't, that would have definitely done it anyway. And it's cemented it in my mind as something I'll buy. I'll almost certainly buy on launch.
And the last kind of I'm going to present them as a pair, uh, because I liked them for kind of similar reasons. So the last kind of pair of games I thought, oh, that could be quite good. That could be quite interesting. Was Islands and I think it was Wargroove. Islands
With a
had
Y.
with a Y, yeah, Wylands. I think it's just pronounced Islands, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
uh, it has like very strong kind of Minecrafty overtones, but comes with a kind of proper map editor and kind of like almost like scenario builder to allow you to kind of almost make your own games, kind of in engine. And similarly, Wargroove feels like I think Kick said to me earlier while we were kind of discussing what to discuss. It looks quite a lot like Advance Wars Builder or Advance Wars Maker. Sorry, kind of aping Mario Maker. And I mean, this kind of create your own content, games just kind of shipping based around their kind of own map editors. I think it's an interesting idea. It has been done before in some genres, and I think Mario Maker is probably like the most well-known example, or at least kind of contemporary example of that. I think that they could both be really good, and I was interested, kind of as my final point of asking you guys what you thought.
Yeah, I mean, with Wargroove especially, we saw it in February at the Switch announcement, but obviously they showed a little bit more this time. From what I understand, it's going to have its own like built-in campaigns it comes with, but then also the map editor that supposedly, if I remember correctly from yesterday, the developers said they built the in-game campaigns with, you can build your campaign as well. And unlike, say, on Advance Wars with the map editor, you can add stuff like triggers and everything, so you could have it so you go into a bush or something or a tree, and then it triggers a battle with an enemy that you can't see and things like that. So it seems to be really in-depth, and it's going to be really exciting to see exactly what the community comes up with. I'm not sure what platform I'll end up getting it on, but yeah, that was a bit weird. But basically, yeah, it should be cool. It depends how the levels are shared and everything, because it's very possible I'd end up getting it on PC instead of Switch.
I was a big, well, I don't say was, I am. It's just we haven't had a game in a long time. Anyway, I'm a big fan of Advance Wars, so seeing this was great because it pretty much is Advance Wars just with a medieval theme. Frankly, medieval my favorite theme, so this is quite perfect. And as I said, I like strategy games, so this is a great game for me. And yeah, the comprehensive map editor is a great feature because it gives a lot of replay value to the game, and it will hopefully with a good community, it means that there'll be a lot to get out of it. I'll almost certainly buy it on the Switch because I'm more likely to play a game on the Switch because of the portable nature, but I'll happily double dip if I feel that I'm going to actually make maps and using a mouse on the PC will help more than using like my hand on the Switch's touchscreen. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. This is another definite day one purchase for me.
Yeah, and that Islands one is also really interesting because when they first showed it off, I honestly had no idea what I was looking at because it looked like some weird kind of crafting survival sim thing. And I was like, another one? Because, I mean, there was a lot of them there. But then they were like, oh, this is just one of the scenarios. And then they're like, you can build your own scenarios. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. and then they show like some guy driving around in a car, and it's like, okay, well, this is actually a lot more interesting than I thought it was, because it looks like there's going to be a hell of a lot of content.
Yeah, I think games like that kind of live or die by the power of their scenario editor, and
Yeah.
it looks like that had one hell of a scenario editor, to be honest. I mean, it almost reminded me of I've kind of looked briefly at like kind of proper game dev tools, and it had that kind of vibe to it almost, where you almost had like this kind of project builder. It looked a bit like a Visual Studio or something, right? I don't know if you saw kind of in the trailer, where you could see a bit of it. So from that perspective, I mean, if it really is shipping with that super powerful scenario editor, I could see it being a really fun tool just to kind of play about with.
Yeah, and I think once again the art style was pretty nice. It was like very basic polygon style, which you don't really see anything deliberately going for recently, but I actually like that early 3D polygon style.
Yeah, I agree completely. I thought it looked really cute. It was it's in a really nice style. Okay, well, I think we've been through everything in the PC Gaming Show that we wanted to. I thought overall it was a nice show. It wasn't, it was never going to be my favorite show of E3. I'm a big Nintendo fan, and Nintendo shows are always the best for me because they always show something that really hypes me up and gets my heart beating. And we're about to go off and record the Nintendo Post-Mortem, and I think basically every game is something that I'm hyped up about. But I think it was like a very adequate show. I thought it had some interesting games, and hats off to Day 9 because he did a really great job presenting once again. So I mean that's kind of my conclusion on it. What would you guys rate it out of 10 to like 4 decimal places? Super Dragon 64, you first.
I'd give it a comfortable 8.373. For me, it was a great show. Yeah, it was a great show. I mean, it had a lot of games that I would like to play if I had more time. It had a lot of games that looked great. The interaction between Day 9, who, as you said, is a fantastic host. I mean, just having him alone would have made it an entertaining couple of hours, but the way he interacted with all the developers made it seem so welcoming. Like you knew that everyone there wanted to talk about the games, and you felt like, yeah, I want to listen to this, even though maybe I didn't like the look of the trailer. I want to listen to what they have to say because at the very least it will be a good few minutes, and I might find out something that I do like about the game. So, yeah, if all the conferences were like that, I'd like them. It would be even better for me, frankly, because all the PR speak, all the whooping and hollering, just a waste of time. This, I feel like I definitely got, other than that Intel segment, I got 2 hours of information out of this, not like 10 minutes of information and 50 minutes of, I should just press mute.
Mm. And you kicks rating to 4 decimal places and final thoughts.
Okay, just quickly, I would like to rate Dragon's score 0 out of 10 for being to 3 decimal places just then. But,
Wait, my bad. Then
yeah.
let's go. Okay, yeah, it is a solid 8.3737.
You could have done 1337, but you missed it. Okay,
Nah.
my rating out of 10 is 7.999. I thought it was a decent showing. Maybe it could have been condensed a little bit, but then you would have lost some of the flair of speaking to developers and whatnot. And other than that, I mean, it lost a couple of points for me entirely because Blizzard and Valve weren't there, but they never were going to be there, so that's my expectations for you. And other than that, I thought it was good. Interested in seeing it next year. It's good that PC has a space at E3 now. It didn't have for the longest time. So, good job from everyone involved. And Mr. Entel, I hope your business keeps going well.
I'd just like to say that I'd like to give Kix a score a 0 out of 10 because that was the 3 decimal places.
No, I said 7.9999, didn't I?
7.999. I thought you said 3 nines.
Well, I meant to say 4. Oh well.
Well, Devlin will hear it, so I'm just going to go with I'm an idiot. Use it if it's appropriate.
And finally, I think maybe because I missed out on the hype for some of the bigger franchises, I guess I didn't think it was like the most exciting show, but like I was saying earlier, I thought it was good enough, and I think certainly there are a lot of aspects to it that I did enjoy. It was marred a bit by the Intel guy in the middle. Like we say, it's not his fault necessarily, but it wasn't a fantastic talk, I have to say. So for me, I'm gonna rate it 6.9696. Great, I think that just about wraps everything up. So I think it's goodbye from me. Goodbye
Hey,
from
pigs.
Kix.
And it's goodbye from him.
Yes, it is.